So we begin with the next system, that is the development of the female reproductive system. The female reproductive system develops from intermediate mesoderm. Again, we are dealing with the intermediate mesoderm. Okay, this in the last time only we have discussed this, what this paraxial mesoderm will form, what this intermediate mesoderm will form. Okay, so all this we have discussed in the last lecture. So kidney as well as this genital tract will form from the intermediate mesoderm. So female reproductive system develops from the intermediate mesoderm. These are the paramesonephric or the Mullerian ducts and the urogenital sinus, which are contributing to the development of the female reproductive system. It occurs in absence of SRY gene and the testosterone. So if there is no SRY gene and the testosterone, it will lead to the development of this paramesonephric duct or the Mullerian duct and leading to the development of the female reproductive system. So the first stage is the indifferent stage. So this female development is a default pathway because of the absence of the SRY gene or the testosterone. By default, it will lead to the female development. So up to 6 weeks, it is an indifferent stage of the gonad. Both sexes will have gonadal ridge, mesonephric ducts and the paramesonephric ducts. So this is the picture up to the level of the 6 weeks. The gonadal ridge will be there, mesonephric duct will be there, paramesonephric duct will be there, and the external genital will be identical. Sex differentiation begins around 6 to 7 weeks of gestation. Okay, so sex differentiation will begin around 6 to 7 weeks of gestation. Now, this is the same thing. What is mentioned here? This paramesonephric duct will give rise to the uterine tubes, uterus, and the vagina. And the urogenital sinus will give us to vagina, urinary bladder, and the urethra. Okay. So, and cranial genital ligament will form the suspensor ligament of the ovary. Caudal genital ligament or the gubernaculum will form the ovarian ligament and the round ligament of the uterus. And the mesonephros that is will form the epiphoran, paraphoran, and the Gartner ducts. So these are also the SBs which they are asking about the embryological origin. Okay. So from what is the origin of the embryological origin of the ureteric fallopian tubes? Okay, then about they can ask you about the ovarian ligament, round ligament. Okay, so these are the things which you should remember in the development. Okay, so in uterine ligaments you have the round ligament which extends from the uterus to the labia majora. You have got a broad ligament. It is a double layered sheet of peritoneum that extends laterally from the uterus and drapes over the uterine tubes. So that is what is the development. So coming to the female differentiation. So what we have seen initially is the indifferent stage. Now, how this female differentiation happens? It is the absence of testicular hormones. So in absence of testosterone and anti-Mullerian hormone, the Mullerian duct will persist and the Wolffian duct will regress. So it is the absence of testosterone and AMH that will lead to the development of the Mullerian duct and will lead to the regression of the Wolffian system. This is the key event leading to the development of the female reproductive tract. Okay. So the formation of the Mullerian or the paramesonephric duct. These paramesonephric ducts develop lateral to the mesonephric ducts, and each duct has got 3 parts. The cranial vertical part will form the fallopian tube, the horizontal part will contribute to the uterus, and the caudal fuse part will form the upper part of the vagina and part of the uterus also. So this paranephric duct, which lies lateral to the mesonephric duct, okay, this paranephric duct will lie lateral to the mesonephric duct, will have 3 parts. The cranial part, which is vertical, will form the fallopian tube. Then it has got a horizontal part which will contribute to the uterus, and the caudal fuse part will form the upper part of the vagina and the uterus. Okay. Then fusion of these Mullerian ducts. The lower portion of the 2 Mullerian ducts will fuse in the midline, and because of this fusion, it will lead to the formation of the uterus, cervix, and upper two-thirds of the vagina. Okay, so these 2 Mullerian ducts will fuse in the midline, leading to the formation of the uterus, cervix, and the upper two-thirds of the vagina, while the cranial vertical portion will lead to the formation of the fallopian tubes. The fusion creates a central uterovaginal canal. Okay, so you have got a because of the fusion of the 2 systems. So this is the way these will get these 2 mesonephric ducts. They are coming and they will get fused in the midline. So the uterus, the cervix, and the upper part of the vagina will get formed from this fused mesonephric paramesonephric duct or the Mullerian duct. Okay. Now the formation of the fallopian tubes. The cranial unfused parts of the Mullerian ducts remain separate. These portions will develop into right and left tubes. Their open ends form the fimbria near the ovary. Then coming to the development of the vagina has got a dual embryological origin. The upper tooth of the vagina will come from the Mullerian duct. What we have just seen, this Mullerian duct will give rise to upper two-third of the vagina, while lower one-third of the vagina is coming from the urogenital sinus. Lower one-third is coming from the urogenital sinus. So from the urogenital sinus, structure called as sino-vaginal bulbs will develop, and these form the vaginal plate, which later recanalizes to form the vaginal lumen. Okay, so there is a formation of the sino-vaginal bulb. Okay, so this here is the sino-vaginal bulb. Okay, so here you can see the vaginal plate. So there is an elongation of this sino-vaginal bulb, and lower one-third of the vagina is getting formed. Okay, so upper two-third is coming from the Mullerian duct, while lower one-third is coming from this sino-vaginal bulb. Okay. So you have got upper two-third Mullerian ducts, lower one-third. There are many questions which are asked on this, especially the development of the vagina. Then coming to the development of the external genitalia. External genitalia develop from the genital tubercle, urogenital folds, and the labioscrotal swellings. In females, the genital tubercle will lead to the formation of the clitoris. The urogenital folds will lead to the formation of the labia minora, and there will be labioscrotal swelling that will form the labia majora. Again, SBs are asked on this. So, what is the origin of the clitoris? It is the genital tubercle. From the labioscrotal swellings. This is what you should remember. So genital tubercle, urogenital folds, and labioscrotal swellings. Many SBs are there in this. Then development of the ovaries. The ovaries develop from the gonadal ridge. Okay. The components involved are the coelomic epithelium, mesenchyme, and the primordial germ cells migrating from the yolk sac. Okay. Without SRY gene influence, the gonad will differentiate into the ovary. So if there is no SRY gene influence, then obviously the gonad will be the female gonad, that is the ovary. Okay. And the components involved are the coelomic epithelium, mesenchyme, and the primordial germ cells, which are coming from the yolk sac. Then there is a descent of the ovaries. Ovaries initially develop high in the posterior abdominal wall. They descend to the pelvis guided by this gubernaculum. Okay. And this gubernaculum will later form your ovarian ligament and the round ligament of the uterus. Okay. So the upper part will form the ovarian ligament and the lower part will form the round ligament of the uterus. Again, these are the SBS. The source of the ovarian ligament or the round ligament is this gubernaculum. Okay. So if you want to remember in one line, the fallopian tube, the uterus, cervix, and the upper part of the vagina will develop from the Mullerian ducts, while lower vagina will develop from the urogenital sinus. Okay, from the sinovaginal bulb. Okay, so that is what is the development of the female reproductive system. Now let us summarize again. The ovary is coming from the genital ridge. Fallopian tubes are coming from the Mullerian ducts. Uterus is coming from the fusion of the Mullerian ducts. Cervix is also origin from the Mullerian ducts. Upper vagina from the Mullerian ducts. Lower vagina is from the urogenital sinus, and the external genitalia is coming from the genital tubercle and its folds. Okay, so that is what is the development of the female reproductive tract. So what are the abnormalities what we can get? The failure of the Mullerian duct fusion can lead to the, if there is a fusion failure, then it will lead to the uterus diadephis. If there is a partial fusion, it will lead to the bicornuate uterus. If there is a septal resorption failure, it will lead to the septate uterus. And if there is a ductal agenesis, it will lead to the Mullerian agenesis or MRCOG syndrome. Okay, Rokitansky-Meyer-Custer-Hauser syndrome. Okay, so that finishes the development of the female reproductive system. Thank you.